Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we are returning to Grand Tactician, the Civil War, our Let's Play series as the Confederacy in this game. We are hoping to win the war soon. Victoria 3 comes out soon. What is it, next week now? And I'm trying to finish this series off before we start something new. I imagine I will be playing and streaming a lot of Victoria 3. I actually took a couple days off work so I could do that. You know, I'd like to get this series done before that, as well as there's also a new update that's, it might already be in beta, but there's a new update coming out for Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts that I want to start a new series for as well. So we've been a little bit on the slower side of things lately on the channel over the last 2 months or so, but I imagine that'll pick up in the coming weeks. With that being said, this is the situation in the war without belaboring the point too much. The war in the East is going well. Washington, D.C. is in our control, as you can see. Baltimore is also in our control. We just won a victory against the 1st and the 4th Corps of the Union Army in Western Maryland, with both James Longstreet and Robert E. Lee's corps being engaged, although Longstreet's corps did most of the action. We are now going to send Longstreet to Cumberland to anchor the left flank of our army, and he may advance north toward Hollingsburg to keep these corps on the run. Robert E. Lee, meanwhile, is going to move to the right and then north up toward Gettysburg, where there are 2 additional corps of the Union Army, and he's going to be joined, hopefully, by John Magruder's 2nd Corps of the Army of Northern Virginia. The timing of these marches, well, it looks like the 3rd Corps won't move for several days. The 1st Corps might already be moving. So 78 hours. So the timing of these 2 should mean they're going to go in relatively synchronized, hopefully, so that we can have 2 corps here against these 2 federal corps. So about another 40,000 man battle, close to 50,000 men, I think, near Gettysburg. If we win there, we are then going to send Magruder's 2nd Corps to the east and drive on Philadelphia. Lee may stay at Gettysburg to secure the flank or advance on Harrisburg so that Magruder doesn't go in alone. But essentially my plan is to stage 1 corps sort of near Hollingsburg, 1 corps near Harrisburg, and then 1 corps near Philadelphia. I am assuming if all of those go according to plan, we will be able to end the war soon. I don't know if we'll get to it tonight. It might be a tonight and tomorrow thing. But we'll see. The Union morale, national morale, has actually gone up a little bit. It's at 38%. If they drop to 25, they surrender or the war ends. And so I believe if we take their capital a second time, that is likely to occur. Additionally, in the Western, or I guess sort of Central Theater, we have ejected the Federals from Tennessee, thank God. Although the Federals have won a victory against us south of Cairo in Kentucky. And so we are bringing our right wing of the Army of the Tennessee up to reinforce Johnson's Corps of the Army of the West to prevent any federal push along the Mississippi. Additionally, Pemberton's Corps has won a victory against some scattered Union forces here in central Kentucky, as well as our left wing has also won some victories in this general vicinity as well. So we are pushing into central Kentucky. I think I lack the manpower to really overwhelm all of these federal units, but we'll see. And I guess last thing, Porterfield continues to occupy St. Louis, and we are bringing up additional troops that we are raising somewhere around here. The Army of Western Louisiana is over here. We're raising about 16,000 soldiers. These 16,000 soldiers, these guys are going to move up to Nashville. And we do have one area of potential concern, which I think they've been there for a while, but there's like 10,000 federal troops in North Carolina. Just chilling. So anyway, that's the situation that we find ourselves in now. So let's go. Looks like these federal corps might advance against us before we even start moving. Are they going to try and split the 1st and the 2nd corps? They're advancing south toward Frederick. I'm assuming we're going to get another battle on the Antietam battlefield. This is David Stanley. It's going to be the 2nd Corps, which is Magruder, the Army of Northern Virginia, and the Army of Virginia. So actually Lee's troops didn't even get moving. The Army of Virginia is the garrison in D.C. Northern Virginia are the headquarters units. So we're going to have about an initial battle against 2 federal corps here, with Magruder being outnumbered considerably. Almost 40,000 to 25,000 or so. And then we'll get an additional 8,000 infantry after 14 hours. So we'll fight the battle. I think we're going to be on the defensive. This is the stream that never ends, and it will go on and on, my friends. Perhaps, Newhauser, or perhaps we shall one day convince old Abe to give up the struggle. Hey, Go, Blue, Moist, good to see y'all. You don't think Lincoln's going to be reelected? Probably not. Habit, probably not. PGT's probably saying that quote could have been for this battlefield. You saw the quote, he said, "May tomorrow be their Waterloo." Which, yeah, I mean, that's obviously the goal. Okay, it looks like we actually get Beauregard on the field right away. Okay. So we've got the cavalry under Van Dorn, and we've got the infantry under Magruder. Let's just do this. Oh, God. Well, we can see where they're forming up. They're right here. Okay, let's do this. Let's pull our troops back here. Some of these boys are in their first battle ever, which kind of sucks, but all right, those are good. That's good terrain here. They're in the sunken road. What are their objectives? What are they supposed to try and attack? Down here? Okay. So do we like, I'm curious how well artillery would fare if we just like deployed them in the open like this. Probably not very well. Deploy those James rifles here and here. Keep these guns in that lane. And then do any of these guys have sharps? Okay, so let's take Van Dorn. Let's deploy him over here. Revolvers, Maniards, revolvers, Merrill carbine, sharps. So we'll put 800 cavalry here. Dismounted. Okay, so I'm hoping this artillery here will help. Our center feels a little weak like this. So we will actually do this. Frost is the right division here, right? There's three brigades under him. So we're going to deploy one of them over here with their Lorenz's rifles. And then we'll deploy one as sort of a reserve in the center. We'll keep them in the woods. Okay. I don't know. This feels like a decent position. How many? We do have some engineering points. So let's use some of them. Oops. There you go. So these guys will deploy in here. behind those abatis, if you will. Just 2 brigades on our left, right? Oh, there's actually 3. Okay. Hill has 3 also. All right, let's deploy some reserves toward the center because that's probably where they're going to attack us. Should get some reserves coming up from the Virginia Army before too long. Then so we're going to build these guys down here. So these rookies are going to be in about as good of a position as they can be. So we've got everybody behind very strong entrenchments here. We've got 3 brigades in reserve here. We have 1 brigade on the right flank in the event they try to cross this bridge and come right at us. I actually suspect they may go wide and try and use these bridges to flank us. So I'm going to put Jones over here. On kind of this high ground. And then we will build some entrenchments here. That'll use up the rest of our entrenchments. We'll set these guys to long range fire. I'll actually set the whole corps to long range fire. In addition to that, so I guess most of our reserves will be dismounted cavalry then in the center. And then we'll have Cutsaw's brigade sort of off here on the right. I don't know. I just don't know what direction they're going to go. It would not shock me if they try and push across this bridge here against the lone brigade and turn our position. Because the objective in theory is way down here. The AI does tend to get sucked into attacking you directly, though. So let's actually move the cavalry over here on this hill. They can always back Griffith up. Is that our artillery? So this battery is firing. This battery is firing. These guys are not yet. I don't think they have quite as good of a line of sight. Still pretty decent, though. So we really divvied up our cavalry all over the field. We'll see what the Federals do. All right, so they are crossing up here in the north. They're moving troops down here toward Griffith's brigade, but they might also be moving troops directly toward our center as well. Then again, maybe not. It looks like the bulk of their troops are moving off to the right. So I'll go deploy here on this fence line. All right, we will take our furthest left brigade here under Hill and shift them out to the right flank to refuse the line there. I shouldn't have left my flank open like that. And let's take Lawton's brigade from Frost and go reinforce Griffith, but I don't want you to take that route. Move to Middle Bridge. I would try and hold at Middle Bridge, but the problem with that is then they can just move down on the actual objective, which is over here to the right. So they may not even bother. It is 1,300 hours, though, so it'll be interesting to see how this unfolds. They could use the road veering to the right here to avoid our line entirely. Which it looks like they will do. They're just going to go right for the objective. This is not usually how the AI behaves, for what it's worth. Usually the AI will be lured into fighting you, not so much going for the objective. So that's interesting. Got multiple enemy brigades moving this way. Now we're going to have Wilfred engage the enemy at least to slow their advance on the objective. Are they charging? No, it looked like they were charging our cavalry with their 29 to 25. Dismounted, they're going to have an advantage. Let's dismount the boys. Let's move one brigade of infantry up to support. Hancock's going to come back from marching on the objective by the looks of it. We're going to move the rest of Van Dorn's division over here. See if we can't force them into engaging. Oh! Wilfred Cutsaw already got killed. Well, that wasn't quite the goal to get our cavalry brigade commander killed. Van Dorn, where you are at again? Why don't you go right up there and be near the fight? I'm really bad with using cavalry in this game. Man, he must have gotten killed by like one of the first volleys. Oh god, his brigade's getting shredded. They're doing their job though, they're buying time. as we begin shifting troops over this way. All right, so Cutsaw's boys lost almost 50% casualties. I doubt they'll rally, but we'll try. They also did inflict a reasonable amount of damage on that lead enemy cavalry brigade. It was pretty even in terms of casualties. Johnson, we're going to send some skirmishers out where you can get engaged. And we're going to put Johnson behind this fence line. The main goal is to buy time for these troops under the 2nd Division to come up and deploy. And we can figure out how the enemy's going to respond. It does look like they're still sending troops to the right toward the objective, which makes sense, but they might also be sending some troops toward our position. Johnson has some very experienced troops here. They're 4 stars. We'll see if we can use these skirmishers effectively. I'm sure the enemy's going to still swoop in and take the objective, but that's less my concern and more of just trying to not have to completely redeploy the whole army. I'd like to use some of the trenches I built up. So we'll use some skirmishers, see if we can bloody the enemy here a bit. We've got quite a few troops moving up into position. And we're shifting the enemy the force from the left flank of the Sharpsburg River to the right. This is the Sharpsburg here, right? Or is this the Potomac? No, it's the Antietam Creek. My bad. Sharpsburg's the town. Lol. Alright, Johnson, engage this brigade. The 2nd Brigade looks like they're going to move. Oh, God. Are they moving that whole force against you? Oh. Okay. Like to get some cavalry toward the objective. Our skirmishers are being flanked. We knew they were going to get wrecked. But Johnson's core part of his brigade is blooding the 2nd of it. Nice. Waitman's brigade just has a very fringe shot at the 2nd Brigade over here. Alright, so the skirmishers under Johnson's detachment are routed and being driven back. The enemy's going to move on Johnson's flank. Hey, Jones. Why'd you go up there? Alright, we're going to pull Johnson back. We'll have him retreat before he's too heavily engaged. Maybe he'll draw the Federals back. Oh, shit. Forgot about you. Roach Dribble, don't get your cavalry out there too far. We're going to push Van Dorn's cavalry over the flank, over this massive hill. It's like a mountain right here. Look at this thing. It's huge. The enemy get guns up there. We're going to need buckets to catch lead. All right, so they're pulling back under distress. The rest. God, yeah, they're definitely moving up and around our line toward the objective down here. They haven't taken it yet, though. Right, we're gonna move Frost Division now, I think. Or, not Frost, let's move Anderson. Let's move him down here. He can act as kind of a reserve for these troops, but then also maybe a push through the mountains toward the objective. Lieutenant Colonel Stewart, earn your promotion. Alright, we're engaging the enemy on this hilltop with some of our horsemen. Got Colt revolving troops in action. We're also engaging troops with Stewart's Colt revolvers. Shoot. Open fire and shoot. We should have kept you on your horse. Oh, hey Jones. Don't just sit up there. Pull back now. You need to move quite that far forward, Stuart. Just shoot. You're going to end up in a melee that you do not want. There you go. Get those revolvers into action. And so Cutshaw's brigade did withdraw. HQ's invincible? No, your commanders can die. Is he really flanked? I guess he is kind of getting shot up by the 1st Brigade over here. What do casualties look like? So far they're losing a little bit more than us in terms of total, but in terms of percentages we've lost more. You guys are panicked. To rally. My advice to you boys is rally. Stuart's in a bad spot. I thought his revolvers might be a little more effective than that. I guess I was wrong. You do have to get so goddamn close to the enemy to use them that you're liable to get shot to pieces. 3rd Federal Brigade looks like they may pull back. Can't imagine the 2nd Brigade here is going to do all that well. Put our Sharps boys here. So against Pierce's troops over Lorenz's to engage some of this infantry, take some of the pressure off Stewart. Although Stewart's going to for sure rout those casualties. The thing is, if I try and pull Stewart back now, he's going to rout anyway because he's already so heavily invested. So I'm best just to leave him in and let him do the damage he can do. While maybe I bring in some additional troops behind him to stem the rout. We did rout this 1 Federal Brigade here. Casualties are tilting in our favor. First Cavalry appears suffering pretty heavy losses. A's Brigade is losing heavily as well against 2nd Brigade of Federal Infantry. Let's get Robert Toombs up there to engage them. Van Dorn's cavalry is getting shot to pieces, but they're doing their job. I sure get my cavalry killed very effectively in this game. Just something I'm good at. Kill cavalry. I've never seen enemy troops try and move through obstacles like this before, so that's kind of... Lost a man in either of these brigades. Alexander Reynolds and Waitman's. Waitman's fired 20 rounds. Stewart is broken. But now we've got Stewart's, the other Stewart, Sharp carbines in action. And Nicholas Pierce has 2,100 muskets on the flank there. So the game is claiming this is a minor defeat so far. Have we lost the objective yet? They haven't gotten all the way down there to take the objective yet, huh? Can I just say I love that the Iron Discipline icon is an Iron Brigade hat? That's so freaking awesome. Alright, we are wrecking this 2nd Brigade here. Trying to make it through these obstacles. Not succeeding. Anderson's brigade is moving. Dribble might rally his men? I think we already issued the rally command, maybe not. Stewart's pretty much gone. I'm pretty confident that he's going to rout off the map. He lost over half his men. No sign of the Virginia Army and our 8,000 reinforcements as far as I can tell. That probably won't happen until nightfall. First Brigade's lost over 700 men. This 2nd Brigade's coming forward with 3,500. The Federals should really name their units. No, the objective is actually way off here to the lower right down here. It is Elk Ridge. It looks like the Federals are taking it right now. There's a little circle icon around that. They sent some cavalry off in that direction, so that's kind of what I'm expecting. Can we pull these guys back? Do they have it in them to retreat without breaking? And then we can bring Toombs up with his Richmond rifles to take their spot. We'll get out of there before they totally break. They actually did pretty good work. Well, then maybe not. Only 150 casualties on the 2nd Brigade. They were engaged with some Federal cavalry as well. Nope, they broke. Although their cohesion is intact. There it goes. Now it's broken. Okay, 2nd Brigade here is getting wrecked in the open. The right flank is where we're having some trouble. Where are these guys getting flanked from? But I'm hopeful we get to nightfall before too much more damage happens to us. Some of these units say they're stable and not looking so happy. Now it's switched over to a minor victory. That'll probably change once the objective switches sides. But we've routed a fair number of federal troops. They've routed a good number of us also, mostly cavalry. We've inflicted 1,400 more casualties on them than they on us so far. Guns doing anything? I don't think so. Let's shift Reynolds out of there, and then we will move some guns into his position to deal with the federal guns across the way. I'm assuming they'll have a line of sight on them. Alright, so we routed another federal brigade, the 2nd Brigade here. Pierce's boys are nervous. Our Sharp's boys are doing their job. Toombs's boys are firing from high ground down onto the 2nd Brigade. Federals aren't pushing on the right there. Okay. So Pierce might be a little overextended. Well, the 2nd Brigade getting hit in the rear probably takes a bit out of the threat, even if they do push Pierce back. Sharp's carbines up a little bit. Not sure exactly what time nightfall is. It's after 4:40. It is March. So it's still not the long part of the year. How accurate is this to true to life terrain? I think the Antietam map is pretty good. I don't know about it on the right side of the map. They're based off real maps. But there obviously wasn't much fighting over on the right side, so I think there's more attention to detail probably over on the historic battlefield. We're on the wrong side of the creek. All right. 2nd Brigade here was routed by mostly, I'm assuming, by Toombs. Oh, it all depends. Like, most of the maps are historical battlefields that you fight on. I think there are some fictional maps too, but like if you're fighting in a place that didn't have a real Civil War battlefield, yeah, you're not going to have a... It'll either be a generic map or you'll use like a real battle at a place that, you know, you'll use like Shiloh when you're some random place in central Tennessee or something. All right, we just lost the objective down here. Thinking about sending Anderson's 7,000 boys through the mountains, but we probably wait for tomorrow. Toombs didn't lose a single man yet. The enemy really didn't use their 2nd Brigade to push in on his flank. He's just taking long-range pot shots at the Federals over here. Pierce broke. Rally, boys, rally. Alright, so our Sharp's carbine boys are going against enemy infantry in the open now. Probably have an advantage versus those troops, but not versus the next brigade that's coming behind them. Try and move Johnson over to the right a bit. Let's also advance Wigman forward here to back up the Sharps. A lot of federal artillery over here. Our own guns appear to be firing. Looks like they should have an elevation advantage, so they could probably fire over the heads of our troops over here. Casualties picking up on the Sharps troops, over 200 now. They're still blasting away. Claims 9 rounds a minute, but they're not burning through ammo quite that fast. Edward Johnson moving his boys up. Still hasn't lost a man. Here's Wagner. Our casualties are at about 3,000. The Federals are at over 5,000. We've now got the advantage in terms of percentage of troops injured as well. The 2nd Brigade's gonna go. Now that we've got the Wegmans 1,500 muskets, even if only half of them are able to fire because the cavalry's in front of them. And then we've also got Johnson's boys on as well, 1,000 men. So we've got, what, like 700 muskets here, 1,000 here, and then the 500 Sharps, 2,200 men versus 700. Once that brigade pulls back, I want to get those Sharps armed troops out of harm's way. Hopefully before they break. They don't have enough ammo to fight, and they've already lost going on almost half their men. This is definitely going to be a second day, though. You can see the ticker is moving in our favor. I think the Federal problem here might actually be morale. It looks like a lot of these guys are broken, even though they haven't lost that many men. Our morale isn't good either. There've got to be other brigades that move down the roadway or something that we can't see. Also, a lot of Federal artillery firing a Wegman here. He's lost only 9 men, though. He needs to be promoted. Let's pull these boys back into the trenches. Toombs is now... Well, I don't know who you're engaging with. Why don't you go over here at the 2nd Brigade? Yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know what to expect here. Also, some Federal guns appear to have been abandoned out in the open here. Go get those. Okay. So this will end up being Magruder's Corps. Stuart withdrew that we expected that. Which was going to push on Philly. They're going to defeat the 2 corps that Lee was supposed to deal with. So maybe we move Lee on Philly since he may be fresh. He did fight with Longstreet, but most of his troops were unengaged. Whereas Magruder's going to lose at least over 3,000 men here. 10% of his force. Not crippling by any means, but we've got additional unengaged Federals that we've got to deal with. We're going to speed things up a little bit. Let these two brigades continue to push back the Federal troops to the front. Oops. We've also got Toombs engaging over here against the 2nd Brigade. Like took 4 guns over here. Let's go see if we can engage some of these batteries. I'm just not sure where the rest of their troops are. They're supposed to outnumber me. These guys don't want to put up a fight. They just keep withdrawing. Oh, now they're coming back at us. So it's almost nightfall. We've got a slight elevation advantage here with the 3rd CS. Johnson's also already fought pretty hard and lost a lot of men. The Federals have decided to turn and fight us now. Now they're pulling back. Not routed. They're not blinking red, but they are pulling back. They're falling back. Firing while they go. A lot of my infantry is low on ammo. Oh, I already sent skirmishers out to take that battery, didn't I? So much for that. They're just gonna have to take their licks as they try and get at the enemy guns. See, it's getting dark. Get your Gruder on. All right, end of day. Troops resupplied. But how much? Does this mean they were... Okay. Some of these troops pulled back. All right, everybody. This seems like as good of a spot as any to wrap this episode up. We are at the end of the first day of the fight near Frederick, and so we will have the second day's fight in tomorrow's video. I hope you guys are enjoying Grand Tactician, the Civil War. This was episode number 38 of our Let's Play series, playing as the Confederates. And as always, this is the Historical Gamer saying, until next time, I'm out.